Hey, and welcome to a new episode of Common Sense with Adam. This one I'm a little tempted to call part 2 of the how to fix your or how to flip your first home, because it's a little bit of an extension to that video, but I think more importantly it's sort of the dumbing down, if you will, the attending to a larger audience. I got some questions that I thought were appropriate, so I wanted to essentially go over those questions first, and then I will go over an actual flip. It was actually my first that I've done through using that very method, which is, again, you buy it, you hold it for ideally 2 years, do bare minimum things, mostly paint, makeup type stuff, and then you go to sell it, and essentially you're banking on this makeup sort of enhancements made plus housing market appreciation to essentially give you that return that's reasonable. Anyhow, first question is, what is flipping, or what is house flipping? I mean, it's very simply, it's essentially identifying a distressed or a property in need of attention, maybe in need of TLC, or properties that's being sold as is, property that the seller's not willing to make any repairs on, and they make it obvious usually by saying that in the listing. So those are the trigger words for properties that are essentially not move-in ready. That's probably the best definition, especially for the purpose of what we're doing. In my approach for doing your first flip is simply buying a property or locating a property that is not move-in ready. Question 2, who is it for? I answered that briefly, but I want to really, punch it home. It's not for everybody. You've got to be at least remotely handy. Well, you got to want to own a piece of real estate, and 2, you've got to be handy. And if you're not handy, don't bother with it. Question 3 is, how much money do I need? This one's tricky depending on who or what audience I'm talking to, but for the purpose of, again, this video, I'm speaking to that first-time flipper that is essentially primarily interested to move in, do the bare minimums, move out within 2 years. And the answer to that is really just 3 to 5% of the purchase price is all you need for you to finance your first property. And then, as it pertains to sort of the basic repairs that I recommend, which again is some basic landscaping, mostly cleaning out the old and kind of keeping it clean and fresh, is 1. 2 is paint inside and outside. Definitely inside. Outside is as needed. 3 was cleaning or replacing carpet. Replacing carpet for about, let's call it a 2,000 square foot house. It's going to be about $2,500. So it's pretty cheap, replacing the entire thing, or of course you could just clean it. And there was a 4th thing. Oh, just like fixtures, appliances, attending to those things essentially to keep up with the style, if you will, bring the house up to date. And again, don't ever buy anything brand new. Look for outlets, look for open box items. Don't get them used either. Question 4 is, how do you locate this flip or distressed property? And I think the best thing I could say there is find a local real estate agent and let them know you're looking for a distressed property. So within their NMLS criteria, or MLS criteria, multiple listing service, this is what realtors have access to. They'll just dial in the criteria you're looking for, which is distressed properties. And essentially then any new listings that come out, you'd be notified. That is how I would go about it. And of course, if you're local in the Charlotte area, hit me up. I'll be happy to help you out. And question 5 is, how much money does one expect to make? And to that, I would say, assuming you're following my method, which again is excellent for beginners, get in for 2 years, do the bare minimums, you could expect 30 to 40,000. And really, that's all there is to it. I wanted to cover those 5 questions to make sure I'm addressing the general population at large. What I want to do for the remainder of the video, I actually want to look at two examples of properties I've done exactly that with, and the first one being my very first in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And as you could see, all I've done here is just paint the garage door, paint the gutters, and paint sort of the soffit area. That's all I did here. All I've done here is paint, and here I didn't even replace the fixtures. This is the fireplace, didn't touch it. These days I would probably have painted this whole thing white. And the beige and the red, don't judge me, but I thought it was cool back then. And maybe it was 2012 or 13, but yep, that happened. This was me and Savannah painting away at this first flip. The kitchen is actually since been remodeled. So the kitchen did not look like this when I sold it. These are, by the way, the photos from the listing where it was sold just last year. And it's funny because really all they remodeled was the kitchen. Everything else is the same. Literally everything else is the same. Everything we saw in the prior videos, everything we're about to see is everything of like how I left it. All right, so here I just painted, and these paint colors are still all the same. Embarrassing to admit, but yep, that was my choice of color here, green and dark gray, but they kept it through the years. As you can see, all I did was paint, and paint goes a long, long way. I bought this. Let's go to the history of this property. So I bought it in 2011 for $58,000. And why this purchase made sense to begin with was if you just kind of scroll down to the prior history prices, you know, that's where you know you're onto something. When you're looking at a property that you're buying today that at one point, maybe even 10 years ago, was worth, you know, almost double that. So that should very quickly scream as a positive thing to you. So in 2006, it sold for $99,000, and then it sold for, well, actually, then they tried to sell it for $109, $104. Price kept changing, $89, and it was foreclosed, and that's when I bought it for $58,000. I listed it for sale at $114, and I sold it for exactly $114. And the interesting thing about this listing is that since then, you know, earlier just last year, it was sold again for $174. So again, the $60,000 house went to $114. Let's see, from 2011 to 2013. And then from 2013 to 2021, it jumped another, you know, from 114 to 169 as a sales price. You know, let this sort of be the example that sort of guides you as you begin looking at different sort of opportunities. And the other I want to look at is one I bought in Charlotte. 2003 is when it was originally sold for $107, and then it was listed in 2016, late 2016, for $128. It was a FHA distressed property, and I bought it for $117. And again, to this one, I pretty much textbook stuck to the things that I guess this is how I wrote the first memo for what is necessary, like what little things move the needle to essentially make sure the value or the perception of value is drastically increased. So this is a third floor condo. All I did here was replace the carpets, replace the chandeliers or the fans. So the kitchen I actually did not touch. Again, chandelier did replace, and the entire thing was painted like a light color. It's actually a light gray color to sort of brighten the whole thing. Backsplash, that's stick and peel backsplash that anybody could do. I did it myself. This isn't tile, this is literally with scissors. Or when on a budget, it's certainly a great way to enhance the look of your kitchen. Did absolutely nothing here, just painted. This is exactly what it was. This is the other bedroom. This is a 2-bedroom. Again, this is exactly how I bought it, and it's how I sold it. Pretty much painted. That's it. Well, painted and held on to it. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to show you my personal 2 examples of this following through on a method that I highly, highly recommend for a first-timer. Again, as you can see, not a huge undertaking, but you gotta be handy because you don't want to spend your money or hiring people doing very, very simple things. If you hire for anything, let it just be for getting new carpet in. If it's, what's currently in there isn't salvageable. I hope this is helpful. Thanks for coming back. Please hit subscribe if you have not already, and if you have, please do hit like. I am, again, still trying to make my way, and by you hitting that like button, it helps me do exactly that. Get in front of more faces. It's gonna get recommended to more people. So if you found this video helpful, please share it with somebody too. Thanks for your time today. Until next time.